had recently discovered an expanding group of circumcised men who were trying to restore their foreskins through non-surgical means. I wanted to understand why people were so upset about being circumcised, and whether or not it was truly possible to restore your foreskin. I started by meeting Alejandro Sanchez from the National Secular Society. Do you mind telling me what the National Secular Society does and what your role is here?
Yeah, sure. So we advocate for secularism, which is at its core the idea that everyone in society should be treated equally, regardless of their religion. And right now, in this context, the boys of Jewish and Muslim parents are not being treated equally in that they're not receiving the same legal protections that girls are in this country. Over here, you've got the secular charter, which sort of our Bill of Rights, sort of encapsulates everything that we stand for. Everyone is equal before the law. No, because girls are protected by the FGM Act 2003, whereas circumcision continues to enjoy presumed exemption to the law on wounding. I mean, a British judge said in 2015 that male circumcision is more harmful than more invasive, actually, is the exact word I think he used, than some forms of FGM. But all forms of FGM are illegal under the FGM Act. So what does it mean to say all forms of FGM are illegal? Male circumcision is more harmful than some forms of those, but that should be legal. It's a nonsense. There's freedom of belief, non-belief, and to renounce religion. Well, if you have your parents' religious views surgically imposed upon your genitals, then I would argue that your freedom of belief has been impinged upon. I mean, take me, for example. So my mom was Jewish and decided to have me circumcised, but I don't believe in any of the tenets of Judaism, so her beliefs have been irreversibly imposed upon me.
How much do you think your own story and journey has influenced the work that you do now? Do you think if you were uncircumcised you wouldn't be doing it?
It's hard to see me caring as passionately about it, but I think there's sort of like just morally, that strikes me as a slightly suspicious stance, right? That you should only care about something because it's been inflicted upon you. Like, we all should find FGM morally repugnant, like regardless of our sex, regardless of whether it's happened to us. And I wish that society felt the same way about circumcision. I think if we had not had a culture of genital cutting for, I don't know, hundreds of years, and it suddenly came tomorrow and suggested this would be a really great idea, I think that would be met with incredulity. There are so many reasons to oppose it, but not least because the foreskin is one of the most erogenous parts of the penis. So some studies show that it's the most sensitive part of the penis to light touch and warmth. It contains a bunch of fine touch receptors called Meissner's corpuscles, which you won't find on the head of the penis. It's been much derided as this sort of excess bit of skin at the end of the penis, but it's highly erogenous. It moisturizes the glands, it protects it from friction. When you are circumcised, a layer of keratin, which is what your fingernails are made out of, can form on the head of the penis, which is quite tough, so that will naturally desensitize it as well. We FOI'd a hospital in Birmingham which found that 11 babies were admitted in just 1 year with life-threatening sepsis or hemorrhage following circumcision. We sent an FOI request to the General Medical Council, which regulates doctors here in the UK, and we received, I think it was 50, I'll have to double check the numbers, it was either 39 or 51 complaints related to doctors performing circumcision here. That included babies needing emergency blood transfusions, infections. One ultimately led to a child being left with a deformed penis. Well, take this. So there was a boy whose who was subjected to a circumcision, and while we don't have all of the details, his feet were badly burned by a heat lamp during the procedure. And without knowing for sure, like, what makes sense to me is that his howls of pain, like from the heat lamp, were masked because of the pain of the circumcision. So, like, I think that goes to show how painful this procedure can really be.
But in terms of foreskin restoration, are you aware of that movement? And
I am aware of it. I don't know. Well, I think because I think there's not much scientific literature about it, but I think it certainly does speak to the sort of drastic ends that men who have been circumcised will go to feel whole again.
I was grateful to Alejandro for his time and was very interested to learn about his work. He mentioned a charity called 15 Square who work closely with circumcised men. I decided to go and meet with them to see what more I could learn. I was particularly curious to know if someone could actually regrow their foreskin.
15 Square was set up originally to help circumcised men, but it helps men with a problem, whether they have a foreskin or whether they don't. If they've got an issue with it, we help them. What we call 15 Square because the upper amount of tissue that's amputated is 15 square inches, which one of our things on the
Wow.
yeah.
Is that real?
It's quite funny because somebody gave us that. If you fold a £10 note in two and roll it round, it doesn't look much.
But when you open it out,
it's
is that the same sort of measurement?
Same sort of measurement, yeah.
Wow.
It's a well-known party trick, that is. Opening a conference. This is called a glanzi, and it was made in Japan. And basically, there's a ratchet there that's not. So people with a tight foreskin, as long as they could get that inside it, and then they opened it to stretch, and then that lot, and you left it there for 2 or 3 minutes, took it off, and then several times a day do that, and eventually the foreskin stretches. It's like a replacement foreskin, basically, that you wore like a sleeve. I'm not sure how successful they were. That was the size selector chart.
I think you mentioned earlier that a circumcision can take 15 minutes. What is the typical procedure? How does it work?
It's either a device which clamps the tissue and quickly removes it, or it's a freehand one which is with a scalpel, which goes laterally down the foreskin and then around it to remove it. And then more recently, there has been the invention of things called shank rings or crushing devices, as David mentioned, which they put around the tissue, they clamp on, and they cause it to necrotize, which means that it loses all of the blood flow, and then it just falls off.
How many nerve endings are in the foreskin?
2,000 or 20,000?
I can't remember. It should be the thing we should be instantly know.
It's either 2,000 or 20,000, and they're nerve endings which are responsible for fine touch pressure.
The foreskin's not actually the candy wrapper, it's actually the candy.
For the circumcised people that get in touch with the charity, I think around 50% of them indicate that they've got some level of psychological damage.
And that's always directly attributed to them being circumcised?
Well, that's what they themselves have attributed it to. So, I mean, there's sometimes it's complexity, but it becomes a focal point for them to recognise that it's impacted their psychological well-being.
We notice that somebody has other traumas. You know, they have, for instance, like compulsive washing. And, you know, they say, well, why was this done to me? Oh, well, it's cleaner. So if it's cleaner, it isn't done to other people. Therefore, I must be dirty. And you get the compulsive washing. I've noticed that we've had 1 or 2 people who are hoarders. I've lost something valuable, I'm never going to lose anything again. The psychological damage is quite,
It's under-researched.
It's under-researched. It really needs to be.
The biggest theme that I've actually seen as well, and David, you'll tell me if you disagree, the main theme is mistrust of authority.
One of our service users actually took his own life, and if somebody's trying to talk about circumcision, please take them seriously. We do not want another suicide. We really don't.
Do you know of other people who've taken their own lives
Yes.
as a result?
Yeah. I know of at least 4.
And that's personally.
Alex Hardy, who took his own life. I mean, his suicide note was so detailed. There's no argument with it. I mean, his poor mother. I mean, she didn't even know until the police were knocking on the door. She didn't even know he'd been circumcised.
When I started this documentary, I thought it would be somewhat light-hearted and hadn't imagined we'd touch upon subjects such as suicide. I've been speaking with Leslie Roberts about her son Alex, who sadly took his own life after being circumcised. I was very keen to meet with her for this documentary. However, at the same time, I was becoming more and more curious as to whether or not foreskin regrowth was even possible. I decided to meet with Dr. Peter Ball, an expert in the field, who claims to have regrown his foreskin.
I'm trying to think of like the most addictive, quite a broad sport.
Hello, sir.
You must be Tom.
Exactly. How are you?
Good. Welcome. Yes, I think music is my other big interest.
Oh, yeah?
Other than foreskin restoration, I learned, what I was missing from not having a functional foreskin. And it reinforced my feeling that I already had, that I was not normal. I was keen to try and acquire a foreskin by non-surgical means.
I understand that there's a lot of nerve endings in the foreskin as well.
Exactly. You've lost a lot of highly erogenous tissue in a circumcision, and that cannot be regained by the foreskin restoration that we advise, because it's shaft skin which hasn't got erogenous features. How dare they change my anatomy without my consent? I've got as far as I want, and as far as most people would want. That's constant coverage of the glands.
How long did it take to get constant coverage for you?
I suppose about 3 years, I think.
What was it that made you want to restore him?
A deep dissatisfaction with being circumcised.
What techniques were you using?
Initially, just using adhesive tape, and we make what is called a T-tape. We pull the skin of the shaft as far as we can towards the glands, and then secure it in place with this T-tape. And then we can put onto the T-tape a weight so as to keep the skin on the stretch for several hours a day. Feel that. Imagine that dangling from your penis.
That's heavy.
Yeah.
How much does that weigh?
8 ounces, I think, something like that.
And that would attach to the end of...
That would be on tape which had pulled the skin over my glands. We came across various commercial devices, and I tried most of them out of interest. The head of the penis is put into the inside, and then the shaft skin is pulled over the ring there, and then this bit comes down on the outside of the shaft skin. Somebody with a passion for wood turning has made some very nice devices there. They're all people who are in the process of restoring, and that's the stage that I've reached, C9. I'm a bit suspicious about this one. Even an intact penis, it's rare to get that degree of overhang.
Looking at this penis here, do you think people start to obsess about it? And
Yes, possibly. I think I enjoyed being naked, really, most of my life. Maybe I'm an exhibitionist, but much more enthusiastic once I was getting to look normal, as it were.
Would you want to show your restoration on camera, or would you not want to?
But perfectly happy to.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd be interested.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. You see, I got full coverage.
How long did you say that took you?
I would say 3 years.
3 years.
Yes.
And what was it like beforehand?
You see, there's a sort of slightly bluish tint now, and the glans is shiny and smooth, and the skin wrinkled behind. I don't have a frenulum. That's just what was left of it, and that is perhaps the most erogenous part of the penis.
What is a frenulum?
The frenulum is a thread of skin going between the two bits there, and the frenulum guides the foreskin back over the glands.
Is that often called a banjo?
Yes, banjo or love string.
Yeah.
Okay.
You made
I was fascinated to discover that people could actually restore their foreskins. Leslie Roberts' son, Alex Hardy, committed suicide after having a circumcision. His suicide note was very detailed, pinpointing his circumcision as the reason why he took his own life. I've been speaking with Leslie regularly about her contribution to this documentary. Sadly, she didn't want to be on camera in the same video as Dr. Peter Ball taking his penis out. She did, however, give me the following quote. My beloved son Alex took his own life aged 23 following a circumcision 2 years earlier. He told no one about his suffering but left detailed notes. In his suicide note he writes, "Where I once had a sexual organ, I have now been left with a numb stick. I have been stripped of 75% of the sensitivity in my penis. It has fundamentally changed the person that I am in a host of negative ways.